Chapter 1: The Old Pocket Watch. Lila Emerson sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the old pocket watch in her hand. It had been a gift from her father on her 13th birthday, a family heirloom that had been passed down through generations. The watch was ornate, with intricate engravings and a chain that glimmered in the sunlight. But what made it truly special was the fact that it had belonged to her father, who had mysteriously disappeared 5 years ago. Lila missed her father every day. He had been a brilliant scientist, always tinkering with inventions and exploring new ideas. When he vanished without a trace, it left a void in Lila's life that nothing could fill. She often found herself clutching the pocket watch, feeling a connection to him through its worn metal. One rainy afternoon, as Lila was lost in her thoughts, she noticed something strange. The watch, which had been broken for years, suddenly began to tick. Startled, she examined it closely and saw that the hands were moving backward, counting down to a specific time. A sense of urgency washed over her. She knew her father had always said the watch held a secret, but she had never imagined it could be something like this. Determined to uncover the truth, Lila decided to investigate further. Chapter 2: The Hidden Message. Lila spent the next few days researching her father's old notes and journals. She pored over pages of scientific equations and theories, trying to find any mention of the pocket watch. It wasn't long before she stumbled upon a faded journal entry that caught her attention. The pocket watch is the key. It holds the power to unlock the door to time. The coordinates must be precise, and the calculations exact. When the time is right, the watch will guide you. Lila's heart raced as she read the entry. Could it be possible that the watch was a time-traveling device? Her father's words seemed to suggest as much. With renewed determination, she decided to test the watch and see where it would lead her. She carefully set the coordinates and waited for the countdown to reach 0. As the final seconds ticked away, the room around her seemed to blur and distort. A swirling vortex of light enveloped her, and she felt herself being pulled through time and space. Chapter 3: A Step Back in Time. When the vortex finally subsided, Lila found herself standing in a bustling city square. The buildings were old-fashioned, and the people were dressed in clothes from a bygone era. She realized she had traveled back in time, but to what year, she couldn't be sure. As she wandered through the streets, she marveled at the sights and sounds of the past. Horse-drawn carriages clattered along the cobblestone streets, and street vendors hawked their wares. Lila felt a sense of wonder and excitement, but also a pang of anxiety. She needed to find her father and uncover the reason for his disappearance. Lila approached a kind-looking woman who was selling flowers. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said politely. "Can you tell me what year it is?" The woman looked at her with a puzzled expression. "Why, it's 1895, dear. Are you feeling all right?" Lila nodded, trying to hide her astonishment. "Yes, thank you. I'm just a bit disoriented." The woman smiled sympathetically. "If you need help, the town library has a wealth of information. It's just down the street." Grateful for the advice, Lila made her way to the library. She hoped to find some clue that would lead her to her father. Chapter 4: The Search Begins. The library was a grand building with tall, arched windows and rows of wooden shelves filled with books. Lila approached the librarian, a stern-looking man with glasses perched on the tip of his nose. "Excuse me, sir," Lila said. "I'm looking for information on a scientist named Dr. William Emerson. He would have been active around this time." The librarian adjusted his glasses and studied Lila for a moment before nodding. "Dr. Emerson, you say? I believe we have some records on him. Follow me." Lila followed the librarian to a back room filled with dusty archives. He handed her a stack of documents and left her to her research. Lila carefully sifted through the papers, her heart pounding with anticipation. Among the documents, she found an old newspaper article about her father. The headline read, "Local scientist Dr. William Emerson vanishes under mysterious circumstances." The article detailed his groundbreaking work on time travel and his sudden disappearance. It mentioned that he had been working on a secret project, but the details were scarce. Lila's eyes widened as she read the article. It confirmed her suspicions that her father had been experimenting with time travel. She needed to find out more about his work and what had happened to him. Chapter 5: A Mysterious Benefactor. As Lila continued her search, she came across a letter addressed to her father from someone named Professor Harold Whitmore. The letter mentioned a meeting at a nearby laboratory and hinted at a breakthrough in their research. Determined to follow the lead, Lila set out for the laboratory mentioned in the letter. It was located on the outskirts of the city, a large brick building with a sign that read Whitmore Institute for Advanced Studies. Lila entered the building and was greeted by a stern receptionist. "May I help you?" the receptionist asked. "I'm here to see Professor Whitmore," Lila said, hoping the professor was still around. The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" Lila hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Just then, an older man with a kind face and a white lab coat appeared in the hallway. "It's all right, Margaret. I'll see her," he said. The receptionist nodded and motioned for Lila to follow the man. "Thank you, Professor Whitmore," Lila said as they walked down the hall. The professor led her to a small office filled with books and scientific instruments. "Now, what can I do for you, young lady?" he asked, sitting behind his desk. Lila took a deep breath. "I'm looking for my father, Dr. William Emerson. He disappeared 5 years ago while working on a time travel project. I believe you may have been working with him." Professor Whitmore's eyes widened in surprise. "William Emerson's daughter? My goodness. Yes, your father and I were colleagues. We made significant progress in our research, but then he vanished. I've been trying to find out what happened to him ever since." Lila felt a glimmer of hope. "Do you have any idea where he might have gone?" The professor nodded slowly. "I believe your father successfully traveled through time, but something went wrong. He left behind a set of coordinates and instructions in case anything happened to him. I've been searching for a way to bring him back, but it's been difficult without more information." Lila's heart raced. "I have the pocket watch he left me. It started working again, and it brought me here. Maybe it can help us find him." Professor Whitmore's eyes lit up with excitement. "Let me see the watch." Lila handed him the watch, and the professor examined it closely. This is incredible. The watch is indeed a key to time travel. With it, we can pinpoint your father's location and bring him back. Chapter 6: The Rescue Mission. Professor Whitmore and Lila worked tirelessly over the next few days, using the pocket watch and the coordinates her father had left behind to track his location. They set up a makeshift lab in the professor's office, surrounded by maps, charts, and scientific instruments. Finally, they pinpointed a specific time and place: London, 1940. The height of World War II. Lila felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She was about to travel to a dangerous and chaotic time, but she was determined to find her father and bring him back. The professor handed Lila a small device. This is a temporal stabilizer. It will help you navigate the time vortex and ensure a safe return. Use it wisely. Lila nodded, grateful for the professor's help. Thank you, Professor Whitmore. I won't let you down. With the pocket watch in one hand and the temporal stabilizer in the other, Lila set the coordinates and activated the device. Once again, she was enveloped in a swirling vortex of light and energy. Chapter 7: London, 1940. When the vortex subsided, Lila found herself in the midst of war-torn London. The city was filled with the sounds of sirens, explosions, and people shouting. The streets were lined with sandbags and bomb shelters, and the sky was dark with smoke. Lila quickly realized she needed to blend in to avoid drawing attention. She found a clothing shop that had been damaged in the bombings and borrowed some period-appropriate clothes. With her new outfit, she began her search for her father. She followed the coordinates to a small, hidden laboratory beneath an old church. The entrance was concealed behind a bookshelf, just as it had been in the previous lab. Lila pushed the bookshelf aside and descended into the dimly lit lab. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw her father standing at a workbench, surrounded by scientific equipment. He looked older and more tired than she remembered, but it was undeniably him. "Dad," Lila called out, her voice trembling with emotion. Dr. Emerson turned around, his eyes widening in shock. "Lila? How did you find me?" Lila ran to him and hugged him tightly. "I've missed you so much. I found your notes and the pocket watch. It brought me here." Dr. Emerson held her close, tears in his eyes. "I never thought I'd see you again. I tried to come back, but the time vortex malfunctioned, and I've been stuck here ever since." Lila pulled back and showed him the temporal stabilizer. "Professor Whitmore helped me find you. We can use this to get back." Dr. Emerson examined the device and nodded. "It's our best chance. Let's do it." Chapter 8: The Journey Home. Dr. Emerson and Lila quickly gathered the necessary equipment and set the coordinates for their return. They activated the temporal stabilizer and the pocket watch, and once again, they were enveloped in a swirling vortex of light. The journey through the time vortex was turbulent, but Lila held tightly to her father's hand. She felt a sense of relief and joy knowing they were finally going home. When the vortex subsided, they found themselves back in Professor Whitmore's office. The professor was waiting for them, his face lighting up with joy when he saw Dr. Emerson. "William, it's good to see you again," Professor Whitmore said, shaking his old friend's hand. Dr. Emerson smiled. "Thank you, Harold. I couldn't have made it back without you and Lila." Lila felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had found her father and brought him back, fulfilling a mission that had seemed impossible. Chapter 9, Reunited. Lila and her father returned home, where their family and friends welcomed them with open arms. Dr. Emerson shared his incredible experiences and discoveries with the scientific community, and he continued his research with renewed vigor. Lila felt a sense of fulfillment and happiness. She had not only found her father but had also uncovered a hidden world of time travel and scientific wonders. She knew that her life would never be the same, but she welcomed the adventure and the possibilities that lay ahead. As she sat with her father, looking at the old pocket watch that had started it all, Lila felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had been given a chance to rewrite the past and shape the future, and she was ready for whatever came next. Epilogue: A New Beginning. Lila continued to explore the mysteries of time travel, working alongside her father and Professor Whitmore. They made groundbreaking discoveries and unlocked secrets that had been hidden for centuries. Lila's adventurous spirit and determination inspired others, and she became a respected figure in the scientific community. The story of Lila Emerson and the time-traveling pocket watch became a legend, a testament to the power of love, curiosity, and the unbreakable bond between a father and daughter. As they journeyed through time and space, Lila and her father knew that the possibilities were endless and that their adventures had only just begun.